I now have the privilege to introduce my beloved colleague, Reverend Kathleen Sibley, the Director of Global Services.
Well, hello. It's my pleasure to be back from Kenya and saying hello to all of you guys. I am the Director of Global Services as of July of this year. And I'm going to find the big green button. So since I was hired in July, my big project has been the assessment of the services that we currently provide. And as you can see there, we have definitely sent out some survey monkeys. What we've learned so far is that about 10% of our clergy, which includes ministers and directores espirituales of the international communities, that's about 10% of our clergy worldwide is outside of the US. About 17% of the practitioners, and about 15% of all of our communities. And it's growing quickly, especially outside the US, in Africa and in South America. But our communities are more than our statistics and demographics, as fun as those are for me, because I too geek out, Tony. Following the closing of CSL Geneva, two practitioners, Linda Orr-Iso and Carla Coley, took over taking care of the spiritual chain reaction, which is two different meditations, each now weekday, that meet and have about 20 people showing up for each one. Anyone can join that. Did I mention that anyone can join that? Yes. Okay, good. So at that meeting that anyone can join, we have meditations that are sometimes led by ministers, practitioners, laity, or members, or just about anyone. I want to give a big shout out to Reverend Josh Reeves and Reverend Chris Plim, who work with the Ukrainian practitioners monthly to support them in their work, and were especially important when the town where our bigger teaching chapter was actually bombed. We had a day full of praying for our practitioners and waiting for them all to check in. I'm very grateful to tell you that while there was some trauma, there were no deaths or serious injuries. So multiple centers work together in supporting our colleagues who work in this amazing project. And I will tell you more when I can find the second page. There it is. Latin America is just fantastico. It accounts for about 1/3 of our practitioners. The practitioners are doing really well out there. The Escuela de Liderazgo Espiritual, which is the School of Spiritual Leadership in Latin America, is now under the direction of Directora Espiritual Ada de Mitropoulos, the fabulous. Pictured here is practitioner Betty Cespedes, who leads multiple communities in Cuba under the name Centro para la Vida Espiritual Cuba Study Group. Spanglish, we love it. She has a show on the local radio program, and so she is known across her town. She gets greeted by everyone. And she meets with students in Havana, which is actually a 15-hour trip each way, and in Bayano Granma, which is another trip of about 8 hours each way. When she can't teach in person, she uses WhatsApp to teach online, and understand she does not necessarily have Wi-Fi available to her, so she pays for data to do that. Africa is another place that's rocking, and you'll hear a lot more about some of the stuff going on in Africa in my breakout session, and I promise I'll keep this short if you show up at the breakout session. That thing says I have lots more time. Anyway, so in Nigeria, we don't have him pictured, but Joser Ejukwu leads the Universal Center for Spiritual Living Study Group and has a radio program with over 1 million listeners. He also recently was honored with the Nelson Mandela Leadership Award. In Nairobi, Kenya, the Center for Spiritual Living Kenya continues to thrive. One practitioner from that center is Christine, shown in the very pretty dress off to, I believe it's the right side for you guys. Also made this one. Represent. She works with local children and has worked very well in, as you can see at the bottom, she teaches them affirmations. And she created a program around the idea of seed, soil, plant. So now they not only have the kids working, that brought in the moms, and once that started, that brought in the dads. Each of them gets to plant, these are the gardens, but they also each get to plant a tree. And that tree is then usable when they're adults in order to build their homes. I will add that because of Christine, I never get to complain about my hard days again. She has been accused of being a witch in her town. And this is partially an interfamily drama, but it is all, the family got the local priest on their side, and she was actually stoned. She did not run, and therefore she did not die. And when I saw her, she seemed fine. But she definitely informs my yardstick for a bad day. So props to her, she is amazing. These are just some of the people who are part of the passion and purpose of Global Services. I have in front of you practitioner Gregory Coyle, who is the outgoing chair of the Global Services Committee. He has been working tirelessly from Norway in order to help support all of these different organizations and managing the different procedures that we have for supporting our global services. Reverend Dr. Trish Hall is in Metro DC and is offering what we used to call Prac One on Saturday mornings so that people in Europe could actually be part of it. So she's got I believe some people in Africa as well as Europe in that class together, and it's being TA'd by Gregory Coyle. Trish is the new chair. And we keep hearing about all the different ways that we work together and all the different ways that we have to work together. And so I want to shout out to Blanca Mejia, who is the Directora Espiritual de Mérida, and our own Reverend, oh my God, he was my classmate, what's his name? That's so sad, Kathleen Ann. Was that out loud? James Peake, who now has they work together, and if you look on Our Community and you speak Spanish, you will no longer have your computer translating all the English into Spanish and then the Spanish in Spanish. There is a section called Recursos en Español, and they managed to get that up there, so it is everything you need if you are a Spanish-speaking person who needs to be able to get at PRAC licensing and questions about PRAC and who to talk to about classes. Entonces tenemos todo en español adentro del parte que se llama Recursos en Español. Todas sus preguntas, todas sus dudas están allá. ¿Vale? Okay. And there is Nuestra Blanquita and me. The vision of Global Services is to develop, support, grow, and empower international spiritual communities by bringing the teaching of science of mind to the world. That is what we are doing. We do it together. There are many, many places here in the US that are working together with our international brothers and sisters and partners to make all of this happen. And so it is so important that you know that you are having an effect worldwide. I'd love to share more with you at the breakout session on Thursday at 3:30.